In my 20 years of doing the old NFL thing, 21, I should stop saying just 20. I know this might be recency bias. I can't recall a more juicy, enjoyable slate of wild card weekend games like soup to nuts.
Oh man, there's so many.
You know what I mean? And
the
matchups put the super in super wild card weekend.
Sure.
And now we joke all the time because in my 20 plus years, if the Texans win the AFC South, they are going to be the first game of wild card weekend in the afternoon. And sure enough, like
without fail,
there they are again.
First up.
But Browns Texans, folks,
is pretty fun.
From so many different reasons.
It's really fun.
But the one that jumps out at me is you have a 22-year-old wonderkind rookie quarterback going against a 38-year-old Joe Flacco who just lit it up against the Texans last time they were there. I believe was at week 15 when they were there. Now, the Texans didn't have Stroud. That was the Case Keenum Davis Mills, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one performance, where Amari Cooper went off the charts. So now here comes Stroud, whose first throw on Saturday night. I had you know what? When I saw it, I was the Rick Dalton gif at home, pointing at the television set. Because that throw he made to Nico Collins, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it, how effortless it looked with him stepping up in the pocket. Now, there were people around him, so it's not like he wasn't pressured. He was. But he stepped up, and he threw that ball to Nico Collins for the touchdown in the first snap. I pointed at the screen. You know why? Because that's the throw he made over and over and over again when he was in the building for the combine. And everyone, including Daniel Jeremiah, as we watched Bryce Young stand there in his warm-up clothes, like, maybe he's the first overall pick in the draft? The way he looked against Georgia, unfortunately for him, losing in the national semifinal.
It wasn't his fault they lost.
No, I know. It was his doing that they had a shot. That they were in front.
Had a kick.
With his legs, too, right? Yep. I mean, he was so remarkable in that game. So clearly he's got some big game ability, and I always like trolling when it's Ohio State. But honestly, that kid gave Michigan fits, too. Even when we're supposed to have known his plays. And now here comes Flacco.
Couldn't help yourself, could you?
Nope. Flacco. Okay. With the Browns. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait for this game. That's a great way to start it.
And it's the team that traded the guy to the other team. Deshaun Watson goes to the Browns in this deal. And now he's not even in the game.
If we had said before the season, Browns are going to be against the Texans in the opening game of Super Wild Card Weekend, we'd be like, oh, God, Deshaun's coming home. This is...
It's
amazing,
Joe
too.
Friggin' Flacco.
And one last thing as well, if you put up the screen here, because the next game is Steelers and the Bills. Let's just say the Bills take care of their business. And then let's just say the Dolphins, the way that they looked as well. Okay? Because that's the next game on Saturday night. It's Dolphins and Chiefs.
Exclusively on Peacock.
Okay. And so let's just say Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City, another remarkable storyline. And again, I called the first game between these two teams in Germany. And that was the game when Trent McDuffie, who the Chiefs drafted with a draft pick that they got from Miami for Tyreek Hill, stripped him of the football. And Brian Cook, who's now been since injured, returned it for a touchdown. And that wound up being the margin of difference for the Chiefs to win that game. And I thought to myself, well, if they play each other in the playoffs, it will definitely have to be an Arrowhead. And the Dolphins had multiple chances to stay in front of Kansas City, which they got in front of Kansas City after losing to them in Germany. The fact that they are, in fact, playing together in this game is mind-blowing. And the fact that the subtext of that contest in Germany was, what a bummer this is in an Arrowhead, even though it was amazing that it was in Germany.
Right.
Because Tyreek Hill being back in Arrowhead would be something. And it's going to be apparently 12 degrees, like wind chill around zero.
Yeah.
as a cold snap is coming into Kansas City. So
the forecast is now 7.
Oh my gosh.
7 degrees on.
So let's just say the Chiefs take care of business there. And then the next wild card game, this is amazing because I don't remember as well that the NFL's like, let's take care of one conference first before we even get to the next conference. The first 3 games of Super Wild Card Weekend is, in fact, all AFC teams. So let's just assume the Bills take care of business against the Steelers. And let's just assume the Dolphins can't, in 7-degree weather, get past the Chiefs. And let's assume the Browns take care of business against the Texans because they have been playing superior football compared to most since Flacco's taken over. That puts Joe Flacco in Baltimore on divisional wildcard weekend, which puts to shame every other storyline I just mentioned, with all due respect to Tyreek Hill going back to Kansas City.
Well, it could be Chiefs in Buffalo.
Which is exactly what Buffalo's been waiting for. But that's down the road.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying this entire AFC, and also just the passion of these teams, and I understand every fan base has the passion. So that's unbelievable. Then there's the NFC playoffs, which begins with the classic confrontation of Green Bay in Dallas. I mean, we go back to the Ice Bowl here with these franchises in terms of winner-go-home games. And, of course, Favre had his days. Dallas got the better of Favre when they faced.
Yes, we did.
And then Rodgers, the 2 games that he took on Dallas was Dez caught it in Green Bay, and then Jared Cook caught it in Dallas. Remember that one?
On the sideline.
That was insane.
What a dart.
He also won his Super Bowl in Dallas.
Yeah.
And Rodgers also had his first significant action of his career in Dallas when Favre went down on a Saturday night against Romo. I mean, this is so it's fitting that Jordan Love, with 32 touchdown passes in his first full year as starter, as we turn the page again at the quarterback position, of all teams for him to face, it's Dallas. And of all coaches to be coaching Dallas, it's Mike McCarthy versus Matt LaFleur, who's showing everybody, oh, yeah, I can coach. It's not just who I was coaching. And of all teams that could come in and show Dallas, hey, you're great at home, but we don't know what we don't know. The youngest team in the history of the playoffs, Green Bay, showing up. Holy cow. What a storyline that is. But does it all pale in comparison to Matthew Stafford going to Detroit? And Jared Goff, when he got traded from the Rams to Detroit, it was just one of those old way stations because is Detroit really going to use him? Could they really win with him when the Rams just gave him up for a guy that's never won a playoff game? Just hoping that the guy who has done a ton of good things in Detroit never won a playoff game in Ford Field. Could his first career Ford Field playoff win come as a member of the Rams in the Lions' first Ford Field playoff game ever and first playoff game they've hosted in 30 years? Of all people to come and potentially one and done him, it's Matthew Stafford. And the guy who can prevent it is the clear, as everyone was talking about at the day of the trade, cast off. He was being cast off. Yep. Being cast off, and the ones that got sent was to, offset the salary that Goff clearly didn't deserve because the Rams signed him too soon to his second contract, and he didn't perform very well, and now look at him. I'm sure there's a story as to why the Rams said, we're done with you, that nobody knows. That you'd have to get several information men or women in our business really drunk to get that story out of them. I'm serious. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.